Rain Candy! Wow!
Rain Candy, episode 833. Hello.
I just love this show.
Do you?
Yeah.
I know, me too.
Remember
I'm
when we
glad
met
other
up
people like it.
with our new friend Sam, who is a straight man who listens to the show? Shout out to Sam.
I love that we have to specify.
Yeah.
'Cause he's an aberration.
And he was saying that he's like, every time you say, you talk to the straight man, he's always like, I'm here. I'm listening. I'm taking notes. So
And you
shout
know
out to
what?
all you amazing straight men listening. You
Not
guys
only
are
is he a straight
best.
man, but he's a conservative.
Yes.
And he
Right?
still likes us.
We reach across the aisle.
We're uniters.
We are uniters.
Well, welcome to Sam and all the other straight
Yeah.
conservative men that might be
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was nice to go out to dinner with Sam and some of the other people that we were hanging out with Pierre, our friend Pierre, in Detroit when we went out
Yeah.
there for the podcast. But it got me thinking about, like, just being social again and going out and, like, dating. I
What'd
don't know
you
if I don't know if I'll ever date. I don't know if I'll ever date again.
Why?
Suze, we have
How
to,
did
like-
you conclude this?
Well, I didn't conclude it from that, like, oh my God, I'll never date again after meeting. No, it wasn't like that. It was more like
You like being alone.
the desire to. I saw this on another podcast, clip from a podcast, where one woman was saying how she wants to be in a relationship, but she is over dating.
I
Like,
can
she
see
does
that.
not want to put in any of the energy into dating. And I just been thinking about that a lot. Like, you have to really want something. And I believe that everything is available to anybody who wants it. Like, if you want something, if you want love, you can find it. If you want, and the times when I've, like, wanted companionship and desired, like, connection, especially, like, physical intimacy, I've been motivated. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to like make out. I want, like, to hook up. There's none of that.
Right.
There's, like, no desire to go out and put energy into the mating ritual.
Ew, yeah. You know when people say relationships are it's a lot of work. Marriage is a lot of work. I'm like, I don't think it is. I think dating is a lot
Yes. One
You
more
know
time
what?
for the people in the back. Snaps for that.
of work. Snaps for
Right.
that.
'Cause
That's
that's
way
it.
harder.
Dating is the hard thing. And you
Ugh.
have to have, and so much, I think, is that, like, our biology, I think, motivates us to go out and do that. And when that
Yours
is
was-
gone,
yeah, excavated.
I'm just like, it's
right
little
now, at
things
least.
like going out. Like, I used to finish up the podcast, and, we're like, I'll, like, put makeup on when I'm going to record a podcast and do my hair or whatever. And I'm, like, already, in a playful, like, revved up kind of
Totally.
mood.
Yeah.
I'm, like, ready to go out and be social. In the past, this would be like, it's single or not single. The time where I've gone to, a bar and chatted it up, or done anything, just gone out and been social. And now I'm just like, no, there's no motivation. And maybe that was it. Maybe after experiencing kind of the high of going on that trip to Detroit and being around challenged people and like being, like, all revved up talking about that, like, you really, like, are in it, and it's like a different energy,
Yeah.
that maybe that I came home and was kind of like, I want the opposite of that.
I know what you mean, because once we dipped our toe, the teeniest bit,
Just a pinky
and then
toe.
everyone comes for us,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, whoa, like,
It's like, is this what going
I
outside is
forgot.
like?
It's like childbirth, where I was like, maybe I will have another baby, and then because you forgot the childbirth part.
Right.
And then that's like what it was like for me with this, where I was like, oh yeah. Then everyone starts saying how stupid you are and how fat you are, or whatever it is. Like,
Right.
just insulting you online all day, every day. It's like, this is not the best.
Yeah, it's weird that sometimes those sources for the high highs can also be the same place for the low lows. Like, so it's easy to get to this place where you're like, maybe I don't want the high because I don't want the low afterwards. And I'm fine with just like regular. Middling.
It's all right.
Yeah. So
It's good. I like it.
yeah,
I
so
like
that's
that you like where you are.
making me feel like and at first I was kind of feeling bad about it. Like, should I go out? Like, I was driving home one night and I'm like, you should go out, Sarah. Like, go do something. And I was like, I want to go home and watch Taskmaster. Like,
Oh my God.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah, right. I mean, you got to listen to your body
Yeah.
and your mind. It's good.
Yeah.
You need
So-
a little bit of a break.
Yeah, like I think it's fine to
This
not
year's
be.
been a lot for you. I don't know if you want to
my
recap,
gosh.
but you've been through a lot.
Suze, I was thinking that. I was thinking about like I need to start posting more pictures of stuff like on my Instagram feed that just like pictures of what I'm doing. And I was going to do like a July recap. And I was like, oh my God, it's only July 16th. We're only halfway through. I'm not even to like the main things that I'm doing in this month. And I got a full camera roll just from
Yeah.
July. Yeah, maybe it's okay to just slow down.
Just watch Taskmasters. It's fine.
Yeah. My aunt would say, she used to tell me that you can only do only one big thing a year. Like, so
Like
it
moving or
move,
get married or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
you know, I think I
Yeah,
crammed
pace
like
yourself.
5.
Yeah,
you know?
you're not a good pacer.
No. The worst pacer ever.
Well, and you've had bad luck. It's not like you planned on surgery and stuff.
Right. So, yeah, anyways. But that's kind of a little bit of what we're talking about today. I've got some interesting stories or things that I've read that I just want to share and chit chat about.
I love it. Chit-chat.
Yeah, right. I think this is kind of I gave myself like a nice little segue talking about needing to go out and be social more. I read this article in The Atlantic on the comeback of the communal table.
Like in restaurants?
Yeah. Have
I
you
didn't
seen?
read
Did you
it.
see this article? Okay. So first of all, what is your feeling? How do you feel about the communal table?
I get the suspicion this article is pro communal table because, people are lonely and you got to talk to humans or something. But like bad news is humans are weird.
Yeah.
So I'm not really a fan of the communal table.
Yeah. I'm 50-50 on it too.
Like if you've ever gone to hibachi and you're like the first person at the table and you're just praying that in the next 10 minutes nobody comes in and then you get the whole darn thing to yourself.
That's
No?
funny that you
Just
even
me?
mentioned that because in the article they talk about the history of the communal table and it started in the 60s. That's like when it was like the idea
Benihana?
Yes, that Benihana in the
Wow.
60s was kind of the origin story for the communal table in restaurants, like how we see it now. Obviously the communal table is something since history has kind of been a thing that
Right.
we've always
right.
had.
Yeah,
Right.
like the Last Supper, whatever.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That famous one. In fact, I was walking through the fabric. Oh, I will admit this. I had to go to a fabric store, and the closest one to me was the store that we don't like to admit that we shop
Sarah
at.
broke her boycott.
I did, because I was in a pinch, and
She
I went in
lobbied the
there,
hobby.
and I lobbied the hobby, yes, store, and then I was walking through there looking for fabric, and I was looking for like blackout fabric, and I'm like, oh, they have like something on display, and I can only see it from the back. I'm like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And then I go look at the front, I pull it out because it just looks like a big black square from the back, and then I look at the front, and it's a image of the Last Supper that they've quilted, and I was like,
Whoa.
oh. Yeah, I need something similar to that, but not quite that same iconography on the front. I mean, I'm fine with it, but,
Maybe
just not the
something
vibes
subtler.
I'm going for in my studio. Yeah. Okay, so like they were talking about how Benihana was kind of like the first, and that's where famously the Beatles and Muhammad Ali shared a meal together at a Benihana's in like the 60s.
I cannot picture that.
I know, I can't either.
Do your impression of the Benihana chef.
I'm like, ding, 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 ding.
Clank, 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 clank.
That's me catching it. Then you gotta throw it.
Right.
Catch.
The shrimp tail.
Ding, 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 ding. There's a lot of clinking.
That's it, though.
Clinking, clink, 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 clink.
Look closely. Not a lot of skill, just a lot of noise.
Right. Yeah. We should do a Benihana night one night. I feel like your son would be into that.
Oh, yeah.
And we
That
could
would be
get that
great.
going. Adam would totally go full, like, we could figure out how to make a onion volcano. Like,
Yeah, you
that
said
doesn't
it.
seem hard.
Yeah, I get the impression this is very learnable.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah, communal tables, they're making a comeback. There was an article that was done by, I think it was something in Chicago, some Chicago paper or something like that, that called, I'm trying to remember what newspaper it was, but they called, Chicago Tribune said that the communal table was ranked under the worst dining trends of the 2000s. And I
Yeah.
remember talking about that article on our show
Yeah, it
where we were
rings a
going
bell.
through it, right? And so when you were saying that about like, I imagine that this article is kind of pro communal table. We have taken such a, we've switched our like, where we're coming from, like even the restaurant industry and the food writers
I
used
think
to
that
be
you could make
anti.
I think that there's an argument to be made about it's all that crap that you like that I don't, like trust falls and like you know when you go to an event and you have to like introduce yourself.
Yes.
Even at church, like they'll say like everyone turn around and greet 3 people and I'm always like, oh. I get it though because we are not community minded enough. I do
Well,
get it.
yeah, they call that word that you're looking for co-presence.
What does that mean?
So co-presence, and it is more than just eating together, drinking together, it's being together. And they say co-presence leads to this term called commensality, meaning together, and whatever the fuck sality means. It was in the article, but I don't remember. And I was like, you don't need to write that down, Sarah. Nobody's going to care about like the Latin origin of that.
I didn't even ask.
I
It was
know.
like you
And then
were
I just like
waiting.
volunteered it. And I'm like, now I don't fucking remember the last part of it, which
You're
I
like-
can look up. But
It's like Michael Scott, like co meaning together, salad meaning salad, tea meaning tea.
that's exactly what it is. Do I need to?
Classic.
I'll look. Let's see what that word was.
That's a classic Sarah moment.
Yeah. Well, I'll never find it. Whatever. You take my word for it. So they talked about this commensality, that it's the magic of sharing space together, that it creates these moments of serendipity and community.
It does.
And
I know. It does. I get
But-
it.
this is the weird part about that I was thinking about the communal tables. It stops just short of that. It creates the environment for which co-presence can occur,
Right.
but you need the people to take the action in order to really make that connection.
Yeah, everyone has to commit to this
Yeah.
idea.
And I think that's the part that we're out of practice on. And so
Yeah.
and you know, the article mentioned how we have this epidemic of loneliness and how we really like isolation is at all-time high and people want connection. But I think we need to do more to create that interaction between people.
I know.
And I don't know if it'll happen at a restaurant. I was trying to think of how to do, like maybe I think family style serving also helps, but then I was like, I don't want to be eating family style with some stranger.
Hell no.
Because what if they take more than,
Oh my God,
And I
you're
was
worried
like-
about not getting enough? I'm worried about germs.
yeah, that too. So I was thinking about that too. I mean, that was like my first thought.
Because
But
people are gross.
remember, I think it's been a long time since I've shared this story, and I'll share it again. The worst first date I ever went on
No, what?
was when I was in San Francisco. And it was a bait and switch date. I that's an important thing to know. So I had gone out one night with some friends and I had met 2 guys.
Oh no.
I knew the first guy I met I was really into. His name was Jason. And he was so cool and so hot.
Shout out to
And
Jason.
shout out to Jason. And then the night got a little blurry. And then I met another guy. And I don't remember what his name was, but I agreed. I gave my number.
Oh, Lord.
So the next day I get a message. Hey, it's Jason. Had so much fun meeting up with you last night. You want to go on a date? I'm like, oh my God, this is the best.
It's go
Jason,
time.
it's go time.
Yeah.
I go to meet up with him.
Oh, nightmare.
It's the second guy whose name is also Jason. I met two
Horrible.
Jasons
That
that
is
night.
tragic.
And it was the wrong Jason. I was like, okay, I'm in it. Here we go. We go to
Here we go.
Ethiopian food, I think, which normally I'm like super into. I'm all
Yeah.
about like eating with your hands, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
This guy did not wash his hands before he sat down or do anything to like make any attempts to get his hands clean before eating the meal that we are going to be sharing together with our fingers. And he had the dirtiest, nastiest fingernails. It was like he was just outside gardening. And I was like, there's a chance I'm leaving this dinner with ringworm. And I am not happy about it. It is
Ringworm. How did you decide the disease that you were going to say?
because that feels like what little kids get from chewing on their fingers after like being in sandboxes, and it's like
Totally.
disgusting. And I, as a nail biter, I was the little kid who has had that.
Oh, no. You had ringworm?
Yeah, definitely had ringworm.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
There was an
What
outbreak
the
of it in high
treatment
school
plan
at
for that?
on the workout mats, the wrestling mats when you're at my high
An
school, and they like
outbreak of
yeah, there was an outbreak of
ringworm.
ringworm. It was like a whole thing around school. Anybody who went to Thousand Oaks High School knows about this. This was like a thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
everybody was getting
God.
it. It was like real bad, but
Yeah, and you thought it's coming for you again.
yeah, and I was like, oh God, here we go, because the
Was
bait and
he a
switch
good
date.
conversationalist?
Susie, I could not get past the fingers. I remember it being like that scene from Austin Powers where the guy has a mole and he's trying to like
Right.
think of it, and he's like mole, 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 mole. Like, don't like that's it. I
Totally.
was like trying to have a conversation, but like fingernails are black wall, and like I guaranteed did not. I could not tell you a single thing we talk about, but I could tell you which side of the table I was sitting on, which side he was sitting on, where we were. I could tell you every
Yeah.
single thing about that because it stuck
'Cause
in
it
my
was
memory.
traumatic.
It was traumatic. So
You know how like
there's a
everything
PSA,
you
wash
do
your
now,
fucking hands.
wash your hands, and do you know how like everything you do now, you end up with an email. It's like a survey. Fill out 5
Oh,
questions.
my-
How did we do? Wouldn't you love that after a date where
Absolutely.
you could be like, just giving some feedback, and then
Right.
he could learn from that.
When I used to do public
experience.
speaking, I would hand out little comment cards, and I loved getting those back. They were like, "You go too fast. You're doing that." So great, I'll take it.
Oh, you like to hear that?
Yeah, well,
I'm
yeah.
surprised people didn't just say like, "You're so pretty" or something.
Well, I mean, those I'm sure were in there.
Some
too.
of those, yeah.
Yeah. Once I was giving I was guest lecturing on working with clients that have experienced sexual abuse, and it was at my old grad school, and it was during COVID where we were
Yeah.
all on Zoom,
Yeah.
and I did not, when I was presenting, see any of the notes that were saying like we need to take a break or anything like that. I
Stop.
just straight up talked for 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours. Gave no one a break, just
No.
like straight, and then got through and was like, woo! I never am able to make it through. Glad I finished all of that. And they were like,
But we didn't.
they did not
Right.
call me to come back. I know it was because I just, so I'm like, maybe they got somebody local to do this presentation, which is better, but
Wow,
I'm
live and learn.
Live and learn. Just like read the notes when you're presenting. Anyways,
Wait,
those are
what?
2 side stories then.
But one thing you can eat with your hands, and it's not gross at all, is mosh bars.
Absolutely. This has been my go-to breakfast
Yeah, I know.
because I've been like a
Sarah-
lady on the move.
yeah.
I even offered them to Susie while we were traveling.
Yeah.
Susie, you need a mosh bar.
They're so handy. And
Yeah.
I know that's the essence of a bar. They can fit in your bag and stuff, but these are tasty and delicious.
and not all bars like
No.
fill me up and like feel like they're
It's substantial.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm.
It
We
feels
love
the same
them.
as if I were to go to a bakery and get like a lemon square, but like all the good stuff in it, like lion's mane and ashwagandha and
Right, supporting your old brain, getting your noggin going. I mean, they have plant-based now too.
Yes.
They're made with all these wonderful ingredients, like Sarah said, and they've got collagen, omega-3s. It's really good for you, really tasty, and they support women's health research, which we love.
Oh my God, we love that.
Women's Alzheimer movement. I love it.
Oh gosh,
and
that's the only bar I want to buy because I feel like I'm going to be buying the bars now and somehow contributing to the research that then is going to help me in the future.
yes, it's a beautiful thing.
I love
Thank
this.
you. Patrick Schwarzenegger, my second favorite Schwarzenegger. If you want to find ways to give back to others and fuel your body and your brain, Mosh bars are the perfect choice for you. Head to moshlife.com/braincandy to save 20% off plus free shipping on either the bestsellers trial pack or the new plant-based trial pack. That's 20% off plus free shipping on either the bestsellers or plant-based trial pack at moshlife.com/braincandy. Thank you, Mosh, for sponsoring the episode.
Yes, we love you. And thank you for keeping me fed. Do you think behaviors change by restaurant goers at communal tables? Do you feel like you act differently?
I just feel less comfortable.
Yeah. I wonder if it's like how it would change behavior. Like, do you think there are some people who would be more mindful when are like more, I don't know,
Have you met
courteous? I know, like I want to say that, like my instinct is that when you put people next to other people, that they're going to be more polite or have better table manners or something like that.
people? Yeah.
But I don't know if
don't
that's
know.
the case when it comes to restaurants, especially when you throw alcohol into the mix.
To be honest with you, I feel like families don't get a lot of time together, and meals are one of those times. And so it would feel like it was cutting into that for me.
Oh, that's something I didn't even really think about.
Because then it becomes more of like,
Oh my God, could you imagine how difficult that would be if I would be upset if I sat at a table and then somebody comes and puts one of those like high chairs that attaches to the table next to me.
oh my God. It'd be like when you're on an airplane and some baby sitting next to you and you're like, get me out of here.
I had that on my last plane ride.
Did you punch it?
And the constant
that you
kicking
just-
of the table.
Her answering. Oh, it was behind you?
Yeah, behind me and constant screaming.
Yeah.
Constant.
It's rough, man. It's rough out there. See?
Yeah.
A plane is like a communal table.
Yeah, it is.
And we
and
all
when
know
you
how
have
that
good
feels.
people sit next to you, it's like fine, but
Fine.
it just takes one baby to really throw that off.
And
Yeah.
one gross guy that takes his
Yeah.
shoes off.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about that word co-presence and like being together and how they're like trying to create that and how it's so much more than that because I was thinking about places like New York City and Los Angeles. You know, I've lived in both of those places. I don't know if you count being on The Real World as living in New
do.
York, but I'll
I
count it.
do.
I commuted there and grocery shopped there and did all that. And it feels like, you know, you'd think the more people you put together, the more that commonality will exist, the more of that co-presence will exist. But it seems like the opposite. It seems like,
Especially with all these people in their darn earbuds in 24 hours a day.
yeah,
They're in their own little bubbles, those headphone people.
yeah. And we need less of, it feels like this is we don't know what we want as people. We have these Japanese restaurants coming out that are like all robotic where you don't interact with a human the entire time, and those are gaining in popularity. And then on the other hand, we have this desire for communal tables, and it's isolation and loneliness epidemic, and people need that feeling of co-presence and to be together. But I don't know, we're like missing something. And I like the idea, and I liked what the article was saying, and I like it in theory, but I don't know if it actually works in this.
They're trying to sell us this idea that I think we all know sucks.
Yeah.
Every time I walk into a place and it's communal tables, I'm like, oh man. And I feel like everyone is with me on this.
Yeah. It really is the people that you get at the table with you.
And there's nothing worse than being at a communal table with someone who loves communal tables.
Right.
They are my worst enemies.
Yeah. Maybe the person who wrote this article.
Right. They're trying to get more people in the door.
Yeah, they're like,
They
come,
can
sit
talk
at our
and tell their
table.
dumb stories.
But maybe that's what I need to do as a single person who like needs more co-presence in my life. I have to like go and be.
It's a balance.
It's a balance. Be communal. I was also thinking like, how could you create more of that co-presence, commensality? And you have to go in with the intention of talking to people. And like,
That's right. Everyone has to be on the same
yeah,
page.
you have to be on the same page, and you have to like be ready for it. And I was also thinking an environment that would create some sort of like shared activity. I think that is the missing piece, that if we're doing something where we're working on a task together, or like, that's why it feels, you get that feeling if you're doing an art class with people or a cooking class with people,
Yeah.
where we're all like there doing the same thing, going through some of the same struggles, but can like relate to each other. Yeah, we need more of those kind of. I think that those are the places where that co-presence can really
that can work.
be fostered. Yeah, where it can work. And I think just a communal table isn't really going to do it, even though, yeah, it's really just restaurants trying to save a buck.
We're on to you.
Yeah.
Big restaurant.
Big restaurant. Yeah. Okay, what else? Oh, this I feel like we have to talk about. R.I.P. to like a bunch of people.
Man alive, dead though.
Right.
Right.
R.I.P. Richard Simmons.
I know. Love that
R.I.P.
guy.
Dr. Ruth.
I know. She hung on though.
Oh my gosh.
What a good life.
When I read that she passed away, I was like, she's still alive?
Yeah, man.
I couldn't believe it. She is she has been okay, both Richard Simmons and Dr. Ruth mastered the art of like play. I think. I read an article, I think this was in the Atlantic as well, that was on Richard Simmons.
It was about their quirky
Yeah.
behaviors. Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, they were both so comfortable with who they were, well, seemingly, and joyful and fun. And I mean, talk about an extrovert, at least for the first, 65 years of his life. Richard.
Yeah, what happened to Richard Simmons?
We speculated. We had a theory.
Yeah.
But remember how he was like super involved in all of his fans' lives? Like if you messaged him, he was going to write you back.
Yeah.
And he had relationships with hundreds and thousands of people. And I think that bucket just got emptied out.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And then
He
who
was
knows
somebody
when he
who
got
gave a lot.
diagnosed. But I think that maybe he was diagnosed with cancer and didn't want to get sick in front of people.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's hard when your identity is being that outgoing, gregarious, like over the top, flamboyant kind of person. And if you're struggling with a disease that like makes you anything other than that, it could feel like, who am I to all these people? And I don't want to disappoint them.
The author, Danielle Friedman, she wrote Let's Get Physical. We've had her on the show. And she did an article, I think it was in the New York Times, about Richard, memorializing him and saying what a gift it was that he made exercise for everyone. Like his videos had heavier people, older people, differently abled people. And that way it didn't feel exclusive. It was anybody, come as you are and let's have some fun.
He kind of was the first one to do that.
He really was. And that's
who made body
a good thing.
positivity a thing.
Yeah, like he wanted people to be healthy. Maybe some people would argue he wasn't body positive because he was telling people to get fit or lose weight. But he was so inclusive and it was such a fun atmosphere that it probably didn't feel like working out to people.
Yeah.
It just felt like fun.
I feel like body positivity, you can still be very body positive and want your body to be as able-bodied, want it to perform in the best way it can.
Well, that's controversial, that idea that you just said.
Really?
Like Virginia Soleil Smith, I mean, that is not what she believes. Like any kind of discussion or mention that you want to be smaller for any reason, is seen to her as an affront to, as she calls them, fat people.
What if I didn't say I wanted to be smaller and I wanted to be stronger instead?
I think it's a fine line with her. I don't want to speak for her, but I mean, pretty much if you do not accept your body as it is under any circumstances, I get the impression that she is not too keen on it. But I could be speaking off key, but she's pretty radical in that way. And it's a popular ideology
I
for
get
certain
that.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not my point of view, but
Acceptance and growth. I think that is what I try to extend to all different, like,
so you're saying you accept yourself, but you want to change at the same time.
yeah, with anything, not and just like grow, like in anything, like I feel like even with my mental health, I accept some of the limitations that I have, but I want to learn what are some ways that I can improve my well-being with those limitations, or because of those limitations, or whatever. Just like this is the I know these are the tools you have. How are you going to use them, and how can you learn to use them even better?
Yeah, she wouldn't want you to even say it's a limitation of it. Anything about a body is a limitation. Like that bodies are inherently value neutral. Period, no matter what size they are.
Okay, yeah, bodies are. I would say I would believe that. I can get behind that they're neutral. They don't have like a judgment. I can see that, and then when you build on that, you can
I'll tell you what I'm building on, and that's my collection of Thrive Cosmetics.
Absolutely. Oh, I've got a box waiting for me. It went to my old address.
Ooh.
And I'm so excited to see what's in it. I think some lipstick.
Oh, those semi-permanents, I think.
Yes.
Yes, I was hoping you would get them.
Yes.
They're called Empower Matte Precision Lipstick Crayons. They have 12 shades, and they're all named after gals. Remember I told you the Lindas?
Oh
as a
my gosh, I
beauty?
love that. That's right.
And they are like bold and not sticky. They're velvety, but they stay on for hours and hours, which is unheard of. Usually if it lasts for ages, it feels like
Oh,
like
that
concrete.
it feels awful.
I hate it. I don't like those. But these are waterproof, sweat-proof, but they still feel really nice and comfortable. But all of their stuff is great. Liquid Lash Extensions mascara, the BB cream.
Will
the
you
setting
ever
spray.
use another mascara?
Never.
I won't. Never. There's no
No.
point. And now everybody's making dupes of that. This is the
I
OG one.
know.
It's not, trust me, this is the
It
best.
can't happen. It's one of a
It's-
kind.
It is so good.
Refresh your everyday look with Thrive Cosmetics, beauty that gives back. Right now, you can get an exclusive 10% off your first order at thrivecosmetics.com/braincandy. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/braincandy for 10% off your first order.
Yes. Yeah, so I did really like that article that, what is her name that wrote it?
Danielle Friedman wrote one in New York Times. I don't know who wrote the Atlantic one, though.
Maybe it was the New York Times I read it in. It might have been that. And it was
Okay.
exactly what you're saying, on them being
Joyful.
and, and kooky. And there were just a few
Kooky,
things that
yeah.
I wanted to highlight from the article that I really liked. She said that eccentrics now are more likely to provoke or
Yes.
are for the sake of provoking,
Yeah.
not to expand possibilities. And I was like, that is such a deep and
Astute.
yes, I thought about that for a while. And then I was thinking, what are public figures? You know, she said in the article that we are at short supply of public figures who act earnestly and gleefully.
I would argue Celine falls in that category.
Oh my gosh, very good example.
So quirky.
Celine, yes.
Yeah. But
And
there aren't that many.
another one that I can think of, I can't remember his name. He's dating Selena Gomez, I think.
Oh, yeah. Benny
Yes.
something.
That
Benny
guy.
Something.
He was just quirky and weird, and I follow him on Instagram. Don't even know his name is Benny something, and he's just like got a frizzy hair and smokes weed and does cooking shows and is
Yeah,
just
he is exuberant.
himself.
I would say that's true.
Yeah. And the article also talked about how people kind of become that way, and how it's through like their own struggles and things that Dr. Ruth went through and Richard Simmons went through that kind of gave them this light and this ability to let that authentic self shine.
Well, they also were at their peak before social media, which can squelch anything that makes you different and weird and quirky. And there's also those keyboard warrior trolls who they delight in ruining your day. And so they would just say mean things because they enjoy it. And I think Richard wouldn't have liked that.
No, he wouldn't have at all. And I think it would probably wear on him. Like, I mean, I would say I would try to like think of myself as one of those like earnest and gleeful and like I'm myself kind of people. And when we went and did that challenge podcast that, you know, got a lot of views and got a lot of people commenting, there were people who said, oh, what did somebody say? Like, basically like, I can't stand her. I don't like Sarah or whatever. And I wrote under there, said, yeah, we always say, if it's not your cup of tea, don't drink it. And like, wouldn't it be crazy if everyone liked me? That would be insane. Like that would be, but I almost had to, and then they shut up. Like the person was like, oh yeah, that would be crazy. But you have to match it with like self-deprecation or like you can't defend yourself.
Well, it's not about you.
Oh,
It
God.
is 100% about that person.
Obviously.
You know? Because
Isn't that so stupid that I even, like, as somebody who is usually on the other side talking to people about that, like, I forget that when I'm the recipient. So fucking easy to forget.
yeah, it is. It's never nice to hear mean things about yourself.
And it's so, it takes us right out of that wise mind that has the ability to have perspective and know that this is just some internet troll. Like, it feels meaningful and like it matters.
Yeah, but it's true. Like, that is totally about them.
Yeah.
Because have you ever written online, this person's annoying?
Never, ever. Never. And I
so
can't even
weird.
imagine like
Yeah.
a scenario where I would do that.
Because what's the point?
It is strange that social media does bring that out. It's just, we get extremes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. What else do I have to talk about today? I read an interesting article on how games influence behavior.
Okay.
And yeah, I want to talk a little bit about games and about play. The article started talking about the importance of play. And we talk about, I feel like you and I, outside of the podcast, have talked about the importance of, and probably on here too, about the importance of play.
Yeah.
And how, you know, we kind of lose a lot of that connection to that playful part of us. And so the article starts talking about like the importance of play and how they were talking about the study that was done on rats where they took the prefrontal cortex out, like started basically removing parts of the mouse's brain. And they found that even when they remove these very more like advanced social parts of the brain, the mouse will always play. That you can
Wait. Say that again?
you can remove the prefrontal cortex, so the parts of the brain that are involved in like making decisions, like
Yeah.
and it's probably
Executive
less
function.
obviously less executive function. They remove the parts of the brain that are involved with the executive functioning in a mouse, and you can remove different structures in a mouse's brain, and the one thing that they will always do is play.
That's so nice.
I know, wasn't that nice? I was
I
like,
want to see rats play.
I was kind of upset. This is what happens when I read these articles. This was in the first 3 lines of the article, and I was like, well, now I want a whole article just about that. I want to know how they play. How did you study?
Doing?
What are they doing?
What
how
are
do
they
you
doing?
know
Like
that they're
beach
playing?
volleyball?
Right.
What were they doing?
They just getting out Monopoly.
Yeah.
And just, what if they all played Mousetrap?
My God. Yeah, they have like a real
I almost
dark
made
sense of
Susie do a
humor.
spit take.
Yeah, you did.
I know. I almost got you. That was great. So they were talking about how like play, and also these play deprived rats, when if you don't allow rats to play, they are more aggressive. They're less attuned to their peers and social cues. And they were saying play is how we learn boundaries. And in the most simple terms, we play when we're little to learn, can I grab my friend's attention without hurting them? Like we're
That's
basically like
interesting.
looking for how to get each other's attention in a way that, like, that's boundaries. Like, what is the right amount of like tone to say like, hey, you
Like
know,
aggression,
and
right?
learning those kind of things. And
Yeah.
play is so important for that.
That's what Mr. Rogers, my buddy, he says play is the work of childhood.
Okay. Well, play is also the work of adulthood too.
You don't think it's the play of adulthood? Because I like feel like we work so much.
Oh.
But I
should
mean, I know
say-
what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's important.
We can't, it is important. It
I do
needs
get
to
it,
be
yeah.
as important. And capitalism and consumerism has taken away opportunities, stolen, I'll say, opportunities for us to play games, and they're using it to their advantage. So this article was talking about how we are designed to want to play games all the time. And they're so good. Games are so good at shaping our behavior. They're in everything. They're in the apps that we use. They're in like how we get assigned to different jobs. When you talk to like, I don't know, somebody who helps you find jobs, like there are game elements that organizations have used to like play to this part of our brain that likes playing games. And these companies have put a ton of effort into learning how to understand how games influence behavior. And there is a list so long of the ways that we are getting, I will say that they're playing with us in a way that makes it so we are getting the short-term satisfaction of playing a game without any of the long-term benefits. It's like we're playing a game. Basically, these big corporations have decided, hey guys, we're all playing Monopoly right now, but they're not telling us that we're playing Monopoly, but they're setting up the game for us to play Monopoly, giving us all the pieces. We're having like the little rewards and payouts in the same way that keep us playing. That's keeping us like sort of on the hook in a way. And the one that I think of all the time, it wasn't until this article that I kind of put the pieces together, but loyalty programs are such a big one. Like I have a friend who is like, oh yeah, I pay for everything on Venmo, like with my credit card, like even rent and stuff like that, because yeah, they charge me a 3% fee, but then I get back the points on my credit card so I can use the points later. And I was like, if you do the math for that, you're
so
paying
dumb.
more in the fee than what you earn in the points. But the loyalty programs do this to us all the time. We're like, oh yeah, I'll put it on the credit because I'm going to get the points for it. When you actually look at what those points are, like dollar for dollar, it's like 10 cents,
Yeah.
if that.
Right. But we love the accomplishment of like, oh, I got this many more points or something.
Yes. Challenges or kind of competitions, anything like we will sign up for stuff, like any sort of reward program, because that is game. Those are games. That is
Yeah.
play.
Right.
That they have said people are going to love to do this. This is what stimulates their brains. How can we use it to make money? And we're doing the other one is other ones that they listed: progress tracking.
Yeah.
And then I fall for this one all the time: limited time events.
Oh, yeah.
Black Friday sales.
Right.
I'm in the market for a new washer and dryer right now, and it was just 4th of July. And I had this panic because I was like, oh my God, I've missed the 4th of July prices. Now I'm going to have to pay full price for this. Wouldn't you know, magically, at Home Depot, there's another sale going on right now that's not 4th of July related. But in my head, if I didn't go on like a trip or I wasn't away, I would have pulled the trigger on that washer and dryer thinking that I had to get it.
Right.
And all that is them gamifying it.
Yeah.
And I want to know when I'm playing the games, not
Right.
have it like put money in other people's pocket.
What are you going to do? You going to move to like the woods?
Oh, what? You mean like,
Well,
no,
yeah.
I mean, I'm going to play the games. Like, you know, I
But we'll just complain about it.
yeah. And,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
was thinking like anything, I just want to know how I feel like it gives me a little bit of a, I don't know, upper hand if I know that
You're
I'm
like,
playing the game.
yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
just in the same way I could be like, no, I'm not gonna fall for your loyalty program, sign up, blah 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 thing, you know. And that makes me feel like I'm sort of winning. But is there a
Yes.
brand that you feel like you're more engaged with because of game-like elements?
I mean, I sign up. I just signed up for one today. Food 52. You know that website? I love their kitchen stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I just was like, oh, they have a loyalty They have points.
Uh-huh.
And like just signing up, you get 20 points. If you get the text messages, you get 5 points. Like every little thing you do.
Games. And we love it.
Mm-hmm.
That is it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking too, if a human's brain is designed to like games and we are getting elements of a game in all of these different, I don't know, with these companies who are like using it for
Yeah.
their benefit, not ours.
But you're not connecting with people.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if that takes a little bit away from our overall desire to go out and play games. Or,
Yeah, right.
Or
If everything feels like a game.
right.
Right.
Or maybe like I'm like, oh no, I don't. It's like we're the itch is getting scratched, but like not really, and we don't really know about it, and so there isn't that desire. Like, oh, I need to go play a game, or I need
Because
to
like
go,
by the end of the day, you're exhausted. And you don't
Yeah.
want to sit at a communal table or
Right.
whatever.
So, like, I want them to stop playing with us so I can go play the games that I want to play and have the energy to, like, be like, what's it? I almost said Little Richard, but Little Richard works too.
But
Richard
also him.
Simmons.
He was quirky. Little Richard was quirky and exuberant too.
Yeah. We need more of
mean,
that. I want.
Yeah. Like flamboyant gay guys really fit the bill in that department.
Yeah. Those were some of the other people that were on my list as far as, like, who
Right.
is
Isn't that funny?
themselves. Like Trixie Mattel.
Okay. Yeah.
Love her.
Yeah, but Dr. Ruth was so interesting because she was so serious in a way. She was a doctor,
Right.
and like they whenever a celebrity dies, they release the Johnny Carson interview with her. So then I watch it that night, and she was just her eyes just sparkle. Like she'll do that like squinty,
Yes.
like smile after everything, but she takes her work very seriously and was very serious about sex education. And so she did this like masterful balance between being playful and not making people uncomfortable, but also trying to give them science-based
the
real info. Yeah, that's
She's the
impressive.
goat. She's goals.
And she's like 4'9", you know.
Right.
Just such a fascinating woman. And Ryan White did the documentary about her. And, you know, I think it was her parents that were in, you know, Nazi Germany. And I mean, she had been through a lot,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't know it.
Right.
She maintained that spirit of play and joy.
Yeah. She's the best.
It's awesome.
Love that.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. One more story before we wrap up. This is you and I were kind of talking about this on the plane, or not, well, I don't know, on our trip. We were talking about raw dogging, that thing that the young boys are doing. And there's another TikTok. Okay, so
I don't believe they're really doing it, but go ahead.
for everybody listening who's like, what? When I just said that, and you're like, that is that word? What do you mean? This is what guys are calling when you just stare at the TV, like you're on an airplane, and you don't do anything. You just watch the flight tracker. And really what they're doing is being mindful and being like having a moment of like, meditation. But so the other new TikTok trend that is making its rounds is this thing called aura maxing. Have you heard this phrase?
No.
Okay. So aura maxing is what the young guys are doing, and I would throw raw dogging into aura maxing. Aura maxing are self-care activities that, and they're in a way they're gamifying self-care, that there are certain things that give you more points, like taking a cold plunge or getting 8 hours of sleep or
I fucking
doing a
hate these guys
skincare
so
routine.
bad.
And then you get minus points for anything embarrassing that happens, which is where you kind of lose me. I was like, I loved it until you guys lose points for doing anything embarrassing. And my question to you is, why do men need to make these self-care things sound like cage matches or group sex?
Like what?
Raw dogging, aura maxing, those sound like
What is
sexual innuendos.
Why are they calling it that? I don't
They're
understand.
saying like you're so it came from there's a soccer player. This came from a post. It's this concept that enhances one's aura, enhancing one's aura or personal energy to attract positive experiences and outcomes. And it originated from this soccer meme about a player, Virgil van Dijk, I think that's how you say his name, whose mistakes were overlooked due to his aura. So they're like, we can overlook his mistakes because his aura is so good. So the trend has evolved into this way to assign aura points for various actions similar to a game. For instance, making somebody laugh might earn points, while clumsy moments may subtract points.
They're so stupid.
And on one hand, I love that young boys and men are prioritizing their self-care and doing things to boost their well-being.
I don't. It's so fucking stupid. They can go fuck themselves.
But I don't like when they call it names that sound like cage matches. It's like they're trying everything. It's like when the brands like come out with like the male version that then they need to like name it something like grenades and hammers. It's like, God, they really
Like that
did not
coffee.
like mindfulness. Right. What a death wish.
Yeah.
Like
We're not
yeah.
pussies.
Right.
We're raw dogging. We're not just being mindful.
We're aura maxing. No, you are doing a skincare routine and practicing mindfulness.
Like our
That
grandparents
is
fought in World War II. Why don't you sit down and like fucking do something useful? See, this is why I love Arnold. Arnold would never tolerate this bullshit. He'd be like, would you shut the fuck up and do something with your life and be kind to people? Get a point for that, you fucking idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. Be kind to people.
Be kind to people. Be useful. Stop yakking on TikTok. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Okay. That's how Susie feels.
Sarah, I hate it. Why don't you hate it more?
I hate the how they're like labeling it. I hate that it's turning it, but I think the men of this world need some moments of fucking zen. And if some of them are taping their mouth shut so that they don't breathe through it at night, great. Give yourself some extra points. It's real good for you.
What?
Yeah, like mouth taping is like, have you heard about this?
No.
So like dentists recommend it, and like a lot of, I think with our posture and the way sometimes we can
I
like
hate it.
tend to breathe with our mouth open at night, and it's not good. You need to keep your mouth shut, so people are taping their mouth shut at night. And like when they run, things like that, because it encourages better breathing, because we've all forgotten how to breathe, basically.
What?
Yeah.
Who is saying this? We've forgotten how to breathe.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. We know how to breathe, but I'm saying that with all of the stress and anxiety and things that we tend to live in our head, and for a lot of people, it's hard to sit in their bodies and like taking a deep breath. Like I work with clients a lot on like, how are you breathing? Like, are you really like taking a deep breath into your stomach, or are you like breathing really shallow in your chest? Like just taking deep breaths will help calm anxiety and do a
Sure,
lot, and
yeah.
we
When
just,
you're
like,
awake, nobody's doing
Yeah.
special breathing when they're sleeping, even if they're taped shut or whatever. I mean, come
Dentists are saying to do that though.
on. I always go back to that tweet. That's enough self-care. Now care for someone else.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do
God.
think that that is important, that we need to care for other people.
Please.
And like the caring for yourself so that it's kind of like they say that airplane mask thing, whose mask do you need to put on first? Yours, with the implying that you are then going to help somebody else put
Right.
on their mask. We don't want to
Right.
just be like, yep, mine's on, I'm good.
No, these guys are putting on their own mask and then TikToking about it.
Right. And then
that's
telling
it.
you
The
how they
end.
put their mask on.
God.
And I'm just saying these are things that women have, that are part of, like, I like that they're doing it, but I just am annoyed that they always have to come up with some name for it that we're like, okay.
It's
we're
not
gonna-
just the name, it's the points and
Yeah.
the talking about it. And
Yeah,
just
they're making like
stop.
self-care toxic,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So I'm anti that, but I had to share it
God,
on here
we
because
have
when I saw
lost
that, I
our
was
way,
like,
I'm telling
oh
you.
god, aura maxing, and it's like 2 X's or something like that. I'm like, that is such a dude thing to do. Women are just
See,
like,
you got me
follow
all
for a
wound
great
up.
self-care
Communal
tips.
tables, aura maxing, raw dogging on planes, freaking loyalty programs. I'm mad about everything,
Except Richard Simmons and Dr. Ruth.
but I'm mad that they died.
Right. But we're just going to have to be our eccentric, goofy, playful selves
Yeah, right.
to make up for
Yeah, I'll try
what
to
has
be
been
more
lost
joyful
in this
and
universe.
stop swearing like
We
a
need to stop
sailor.
swearing.
I was like, I should be more joyful and just stop my
No,
swearing
that-
rants about.
You can still swear.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, that's all I got for you today, folks.
Thank you so much. You did so well. You you wound me up.
Yep.
Thanks for listening and always using our codes and supporting us. We love you so much.
They say true art is evoking emotion, so
Well, you were
I'm an
evocative.
artist.
Yeah. She's an artiste. We'll see
Yes.
you next time, everyone.
bye.
Bye.